our country's in real trouble. And I don't want to one day walk my 5 grandkids through the charred remains of this once great country called America and say, here you go. This is it. $20 trillion of debt, a world where people are being beheaded because they're Christians, jobs scarce and moving away and making it hard for Americans to earn a decent living. We can do better than that. We've always done better than that. And I'm prepared to lead because I've done it before and I understand what it means to make tough decisions, follow through, and get results. I don't think the presidency is an entry-level job. I don't think it's a job somebody just walks into and learns when they get there. And having been a governor for 10 and a half years in a very, very tough state where the Clinton political machine dominated the landscape, I know what it's like to go into a corrupt and hostile environment. Whoever goes into Washington as president is going to go into a very corrupt and hostile environment. But if you know how to lead and know how to work with people, know how to bring people together to get results, we can get America back on track. But I'm not sure that you can trust that job to somebody who has never done anything like that before. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that I could do the job, and I wouldn't run if I didn't think I could do the job better than anybody else that's on the ballot. I think at this stage of my life, I'm better prepared to be president. I think something happens the older you get with wisdom, with a sense of seasoning and temperament that you just don't have when you're in your 30s or your 40s. I also feel that the experiences, having to make life and death decisions, whether it's carrying out the death penalty or dealing with a crisis where a tornado has struck your state and you're required to lead and marshal resources to literally save people's lives. And whether it was that kind of disaster, an ice storm, or finding a way to absorb 75,000 people into your state after Hurricane Katrina in about 5 days, leadership is something that you have, but you have to be able to use it and figure out what it is that it takes to manage a crisis. I think presidents, more than anything else, are elected not just to carry out what they told everybody they were going to do, but they're also elected to be prepared to handle the unexpected, for the job that they didn't know that they would end up having. Dealing with the crisis, whether it's a 9/11 or a school shooting or some type of natural disaster, and knowing what it means to lead, knowing what it means to bring people together to solve real huge problems and make them work out. I sometimes hear people talk about the death penalty in some abstract way, and they say, well, I tell you one thing, I could sure pull the switch. People talk about it in a big way, but I had to do it more than any other governor in my state's history. And I can tell you it's a gut-wrenching experience to sign your name on a warrant that's going to result in a person who will die. You do your job because that's what you've been elected to do, and you carry it out. But you also do it with a real sense of gravity, understanding that this is an irrevocable decision. If you get it wrong, nobody can go back and fix it. So you better get it right. And you better not take it with a cavalier attitude, because you're going to make a decision that will cause another human being to die. I think that same kind of gravity should weigh upon a president before he sends people into battle with every decision he makes, because many of the decisions, they're life and death. And for those people who are in harm's way, those are irrevocable decisions. I hear sometimes people say, on my very first day as president, they'll list 24 things. I mean, the fact is, on my first day as president, I'll get on my knees and ask God's help, because I don't think any human being can do this job apart from God's wisdom, from His leadership, and from His light. And frankly, I'd be a little afraid of somebody who thought they could do it all by themselves without any help from above. Maybe the greatest threat we face in this country is when we stop believing that America can do anything. Whether it's facing the horrors of Islamic jihadism, whether it's facing economic challenges, whether it's facing even the internal problems that we have where people have lost their jobs and are working 2 and 3 part-time jobs and still not making up the income. If Americans ever get to the place where they feel like that they just aren't going to ever get better, that things aren't going to be better in this country, I think that's our greatest threat. We'll collapse soon after that. I mean, without a doubt, the most important personal decision I ever made was the decision to trust Jesus Christ as my Savior when I was just 10 years old. That had more impact on me than anything, even though it was a decision that I made when I was very, very young. That set the trajectory for my life, no doubt. And there have been many ups and downs and bumps and bruises along the way, but that was the course-turning decision that forever charted a different path for me. When I see my grandkids and I see the innocence, the joy, that sense of wonderment in their faces, it reminds me why it's so important to fight to make this country great, to fight to get it back on track. I've enjoyed a terrific America. It's been good to me, better than I ever could have imagined. And I don't want my grandkids to grow up in America where they don't have hopes and dreams and where those hopes and dreams can't be fulfilled because we've put so much weight upon their future that they'll never be able to have the kind of optimistic spirit that I was so blessed to grow up with and enjoy. There's no doubt for me that the great secret of America is the providence of God. I don't think you can explain this country apart from God's providence. We wouldn't be here had He not intervened, even in the revolution that gave us our birth. And if you look through our history, there's no explanation for how America survived all of the challenges that it faced, how it survived world wars, a civil war internally, except that God had a purpose for this country. I still believe He has a purpose for this country. But if we don't recover it, and if we don't live according to it, there's no reason for us to believe that He will keep our lamp lit